is March 5th, 2021. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to all of our channels, YouTube, Periscope, and Apple Podcasts. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review. That would help us out tremendously. Visit us on the sportscast.net. Also follow us on Twitter at the Sportscast1 and check us out on our app, Sportscast app on the iOS App Store. Well, guys, this is my first ever episode under the Sportscast umbrella. Host of Jordan. I was a contributor for a while, working with Santiago and Byron for a little bit, but now I finally have my own show, which is awesome. And I have my other show, Courtside with Jordan. But this under the Sportscast, it's awesome. And let's talk NBA right now. The NBA's gotten a little dicey. There's March Madness going on. There's a lot of basketball that's happening. High school basketball in Illinois has just came to a close. So the more the focus is now shift to college and NBA. Surprisingly, in Illinois, high school basketball is a huge deal because we have Chicago is such a big basketball mecca. A lot of stars have been born under Illinois' roof. But anyways, we're going to talk about the NBA now. There's been a few transactions that have gone under some people's noses. You probably don't know. Detroit Pistons received guard Hamidou Diallo from Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, I think this transaction was good for a few reasons. He has good size, and he didn't really fit in OKC. And it seems like OKC right now, they have a pattern of continuously trading people and not really sticking with the same pattern. So I don't know if they're going through a rebuilding stage or not. But on Friday, the Cleveland Cavaliers acquired Quinn Cook. Now, Quinn Cook previously played on the Los Angeles Lakers. He went to Duke, highly recruited high school athlete. He kind of had a hard time transitioning into the pros, though. Got sucked right down in the G League, went undrafted, and then kind of picked himself back up and with the Warriors and with the Lakers. I believe Quinn Cook has two rings, one with the Warriors and one with the Lakers. Anyways, his career kind of fell off a little bit, but along with most people, I wouldn't say fall off. They just things happen. But anyways, the Cleveland Cavaliers have now given him a 10-day contract, a chance to prove himself. Now, the realistic goals of being signed after a 10-day contract is very, very slim, but this could happen. They could make room for him. The only thing is, I really like Colin Sexton down in Cleveland. I don't know if Quinn Cook and him uh, will blend well. We'll have to see. I like them both. I like Quinn Cook's playing style. I like Colin Sexton. I believe Darius Garland is over there too. Played for Vanderbilt. So we'll see how things go. But definitely, I think having someone from Duke, though, is going to be good representation down in Cleveland. And we'll see. They might actually end up signing him. I don't know for how long, but a 10-day contract, though, is it's worth it. There's another 10-day contract that was signed. Damian Jones to the Los Angeles Lakers, along with Mason Jones. So they both got signed to 10 days, which I think is surprising that people don't really know is that how much of a business the NBA is. You see it, you look it up that how often these players are traded and how often they're gone through, and they've been flip flop back and forth. So it's really impressive to find a 10-year, even if they're not putting up crazy numbers, it's impressive to find someone that's playing the league for over 5 years. But anyways, enough of the trades. There's some other ones. You guys can go check that out on NBA.com. We're now looking at the standings. Utah is at number one. I really like Utah. I'm a big fan of Spider Mitchell, also known as Donovan Mitchell. I like his playing style. He's quick. He's fast. I kind of see him as a baby Westbrook a little bit. Obviously Westbrook's getting older. He's more close to retirement than Mitchell is. So hopefully Mitchell should fill in that gap. We have the Phoenix Suns at number two. I've said this before. I am a huge fan of Phoenix. I'm a huge, even bigger fan of Devin Booker. When Devin Booker got drafted out of Kentucky, he was sent to the Phoenix Suns, and they had a long period of time of struggling. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Eric Bledsoe, he played on the Suns. He left the Suns because of how bad they were. Josh Jackson, he had a little bit of a disruption with the front office. He stopped playing for the Suns. Not he didn't get dropped by the Suns, but he just didn't want to play just because how bad they were. But Devin Booker stuck it out through the thick and thin. And now, obviously, all that time has been paying off, and they're sitting at number 2, which is good to see. LA, Los Angeles Lakers, have to be more specific because there's a couple of LA teams. But the Lakers, surprisingly, are now at number 3. They were at number 4 last time I was looking, and the last time I was on the sportscast. And we talked about, are they going to drop? Are they going to rise? Are they going to be in the same place? And it seems like they kind of got themselves together after the All-Star break. Sometimes that's all the players need is just a little break and a little time to relax and die down and kind of reset their clocks a little bit. But I'm glad to see that. Right now they're sitting at 25-13, which, isn't bad. But we definitely, they could see improvement, and they climbed from 4-3, which is good. We have the Los Angeles Clippers. My bad. I just said the Lakers. At number 4 spot. Now, I don't know how I feel about the Clippers. The Clippers are very wishy-washy. I have mixed feelings about Kawhi, mixed feelings about George. A couple of people in the backcourt I'm, kind of iffy about, but, we'll see where things go. We got the Denver Nuggets, the good old Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray. And surprisingly, you guys may or might not know his name, but RJ Hampton, he played up in the NBL, the Illawarra Hawks. He surprisingly has not been making that big of an impact. And he was their, I believe, the 24th or 26th pick in the first round. And they're not playing him that much, but he's crazy athletic. Hopefully we'll see some more talent from him going forward. We'll see more time in development. And a lot of these times, players just need a little bit more development. Jimmy Butler was under the shadow of Derrick Rose for a few years, and now we see where Jimmy Butler now is. He's in Miami. He's blooming. Wouldn't say he's their superstar. I think everybody else is, but as a leader, it hasn't really shown that. But you'll see that pattern though of they're kind of under someone else's umbrella, and then you see them rise, and you kind of see them kind of develop more and more. Now we're going to head down to the Eastern Conference, which is my section, and Santiago, since Santiago is based out of Miami, and I'm based out of the suburbs of Chicago. But we got Philadelphia sitting at number 1. And I smile at this because I kind of cut down Philadelphia saying, you know what, they're not going to stay at number 1. Brooklyn's going to catch them at number 2, and they're going to kind of sit in the same place. And Brooklyn's going to rise, and Philadelphia's just going to sit at number 2, and they're not going to do bad. They're just going to kind of keep being consistent. But it seems like they've been holding off Brooklyn just fine. But again, Brooklyn is Brooklyn's worst enemy right now. They're the one losing games. But now we're going down number 2, which is the Nets. The Nets right now, they're doing good. They're sitting right now at 26-13. We'll see how sportscast fans feel about that. Make sure you guys let us know. We have Milwaukee at number 3. Which I think is fascinating is that the Antetokounmpo. I don't know, the Giannis brothers. I'm just gonna say the Giannis brothers. There's 2 of them on the Milwaukee Bucks. If you guys did not know that already. Sitting at 24-14. We have Miami number 4, 21-18. The Miami Heat. I'm a fan of Miami. They were struggling a little bit early on. We were seeing them at 10th. And I talked about Butler not really being a leader. But maybe it seems like he's been stepping up more and more. Again, I'm a huge fan of Tyler Hero. Huge fan of Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson, I think, he also had a time in the G League, just like Quinn Cook. So, G League's been producing players. Do not be surprised by the rise in players from the G League more than college. But anyways, the Boston Celtics sitting at number 5. Charlotte sitting at number 6. The Charlotte Hornets have actually been doing extremely, extremely well. They have some promising talent on there. Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier. I feel like Terry Rozier actually broke away a little bit more when he came to Charlotte. I don't know if it was an adjustment to new players. Obviously, we have potential rookie of the year, in my opinion, is the rookie of the year, LaMelo Ball. No matter how you feel about him, how you feel about his dad, how you feel about his last name, you got to admit that this kid can play some ball. He's 6'8", reportedly 6'8", 6'7". And the way he can move with the ball is scary. And he's young. It's his rookie year. And ever since the coach started putting him in the lineup, he's been averaging 21 points, 20 points a game. So it's good to see that. Uh, Now it kind of cuts off at New York Knicks, other Tom Thibodeau, Derrick Rose there. Kind of sad to see New York at number 7. I hope they can climb up a little bit. There's still a chance for that, but I mean, it's just I would expect more out of them since they reunited Coach Tom Thibodeau and Derrick Rose together. Anyways, let's go look at yesterday's scores. The Memphis Grizzlies beat the OKC, or actually OKC, pardon me, OKC beat the Memphis Grizzlies 128 to 122. The Thunder right now sitting at 17 and 22. Memphis Grizzlies sitting at 17 and 18. The Golden State Warriors beating the Utah Jazz. Warriors at 20 and 19. The Jazz at 28 and 10. Golden State Warriors are 131 to 119, which has been, it seems like the Golden State Warriors have been picking it up. I mean, again, I'm a huge fan of Curry. I'm sad though that Thompson is out, but they also have a good potential rookie of the year. James Wiseman out of, I believe he went to the University of Memphis. Now he actually didn't play due to some NCAA protocol reasons. He got sat out for most of his season, but again, he has that much talent. But they picked him back up, second pick. And if you guys did not know this, but the Golden State Warriors actually, this news kind of leaked, I believe, sometime last week, and I made an edit for it on the Sportscast Instagram. You guys should go check that out. The Golden State Warriors called LaMelo Ball's, I don't know if his agency or who really runs him, or it was part of his management, but they called saying that they were going to take LaMelo at number 2. And if you guys looked at his Instagram live, he held up a number 2, expecting to be drafted by the Golden State Warriors. And that would have been good in his favor because he would have stayed in California. Unfortunately, the Golden State Warriors passed up on him, misled him, and took Wiseman. And LaMelo Ball got shipped to the other side of the country, or the other side of the United States. Wouldn't say the country because he's been kind of everywhere, but the United States and the North Carolina and Charlotte. But it seems like that's been a good fit for him. But it just was a little funny how you can hear in the Jalen Jacoby podcast that they talked about listening to that, and Jalen was actually there within the phone calls to back that proof up. Anyways, we have the Miami Heat at the Orlando Magic. Miami Heat beat the Magic 102 to 97. Heat's in that 21 and 18. Magic 13 and 26. 13 and 26. That is a terrible record. But I mean, I can't really talk. I'm from Chicago. The Bulls aren't really having a great season ourselves, but we're picking that up. We're in the rebuilding stage. We have some promising talent like Zach LaVine, Kobe White. I keep on forgetting Lauri Markkanen, the guy we drafted from Florida State. I always forget his name. But anyways, keeping it moving here. The Cleveland Cavaliers actually lost to the Atlanta Hawks 82 to 100. Cleveland Cavaliers in at 14 and 24. The Atlanta Hawks in at 19 and 20. Tonight we have the Sacramento Kings playing the Charlotte Hornets. Sacramento's at 15 and 23. Charlotte Hornets at 19 to 18 at 6 p.m. along with the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Wizards, the Spurs versus the Detroit Pistons, and Knicks versus the Nets, which is the Knicks versus the Nets is actually going to be very interesting, knowing it's across the bridge that divides the two cities. But anyways, I will tell you who I think will win, along with hopefully the Sportscast listeners, towards the end of the show. But I kind of want to go in a little bit of a topic that I think not a lot of people know about. And what I'm just going to kind of speak on is AAU. Well, before I go into AAU, I'm just going to, well, I'll lead into AAU. But anyways, AAU basically is a place where amateur athletes go and play basketball against each other. They travel all across the world. We're seeing a rise in it over the years. We saw it kind of LeBron James era. When he was playing with St. Vincent St. Mary's High School, we saw his AAU team get on ESPN a couple times. And that's, from then on, players develop, and you'll see that where they really boomed and where they got highly more recruited was during AAU. But now we're starting to see a little bit of a fall in AAU, and we're starting to see some things that are kind of slipping within the cracks. Now, I believe AAU is a great way to get college exposure for some kids who play, at really small high schools, play at their local high school, but they get recruited or they try out for a high level competing AAU team to where they get, a possible college scholarship and get more attention to their high school in the offseason. I believe that there is that good side of it, but now we are now starting to see a new era of it, of where, you have people who film high school basketball or who document and work for these big time broadcasting companies, make mixtapes and kind of make Stars Born moments. I'll give you one incident for Stars Born moment is Kyrie Walker. Kyrie Walker was the number one player in his class. I believe his class was 2019 or 2018. And when he was in eighth grade, he was 6'3" and he was shifty. Dude was huge. But what we kind of saw, we saw the fall of it was there's too much cameras on these kids at such a young age, and it kind of distracts uh, how basketball should be played in different levels. And I believe that there's too much attention that goes towards, um, one certain kid or the way different things in different areas. But anyways, Santiago is here with us, and I want to ask him before we get into, uh, you know, AAU and all that other stuff. I want to ask him about the G League and his knowledge of the G League. Santiago, what is your knowledge of the G League?
Hey Jordan, first before I say my opinion, great job on the show. Congratulations on your own show here at the Sportscast. Which we've always wanted a basketball show, NBA and college, and you definitely made it happen. Met you about a couple of months ago,
Yep.
and so far so good. You've been great when it comes to contributing to our shows. Now you have your own show. Really excited about the future of the show. The G League, I think, was a great idea. I think so far the salary cap, I think the minimum is 150. No, I think the max you can make is 150 grand, which is better than nothing. And I'm really glad there's an opportunity. Obviously, is a question mark. Should you go to college or should you go to the G League? That's a
Right.
question mark. But we were talking about a couple of weeks ago that you were saying that the G League is kind of tight with money. That's something that's very concerning. But obviously during the whole pandemic, it's been iffy for a lot of things. But yeah, I think like the G League is a great thing. Hopefully, it'll grow stronger and it'll be a good Division 2, maybe better than the ABA. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see.
Anyways, reason why I want to touch on this because I want to kind of lead into the G League. Santiago made a great point how it might take a filler for college basketball. Now we've seen different leagues slowly kind of bring down the NCAA. We saw LeVar Ball, LaMelo Ball, and Lonzo Ball and Leandro Ball's father create his own league called the JBA, and the JBA was a way for Junior Basketball Association. It was basically pro basketball, where kids who forced their NCAA career or who got mixed up in the NCAA career, which is, one of the big inspirations behind that was his son Leandro Ball getting in trouble in the UCLA and UCLA saying, we're going to sit you for 5 months. And even then, we don't have an answer if you're ever going to play, this year again. LeVar Ball didn't like that, so we decided NCAA is a little crooked. We're going to go in our own lane. We're going to create our own league. And the G League, I wouldn't say they followed in the footsteps, but I would say they followed in his footsteps. They created their own team called the G League Ignite, where you can go and check that out. It's basically where high school players are top recruited instead of going to college. They obviously had, you know, SEC offers, Pac-12, even Big Ten offers. You name a college that is in one of those high-ranking Division 1 areas. You can already tell that they've already got an offer. They had heavy interest from them, but they decided they're going to go the pro route and get themselves ready. Now, what's very interesting though about the G League is it kind of slowly taking the NCAA's power away. NCAA trains them to be academic, student athletes, but the G League is showing if you have the skill, if you clearly have the NBA talent to where you're going to be a one and done. And yeah, when you're a one and done, these athletes aren't in school for very long, nor are they on campus for very long.
For 1 year.
For less
Minimum.
than that, 6 months.
Yeah, pretty much.
6 months, you'll see them. Think about it. By the time you go in and they already have practice, but by the time school starts for them, which is August, September, to where they've already entered the draft, they're getting drafted in July, June, and they're already starting the summer league.
Don't worry. Have
So
to
you
worry
can see
about
they're not getting
getting their
much
credit
time.
together.
Right. You can see they're not getting much time even in college. So they're saying, well, why do that? Why study something you're not ever going to use when you are clearly a professional talent of basketball? Now, don't get me wrong. I do think, it's important for people to be, student athletes. But if you are someone like Jalen Green, that you obviously have the goods to play in the NBA, or if you even had the goods to play in the NBA when you're in high school, which is why these guys get scouted, then don't be studying. You don't need to be studying poetry. You're not going to need that, which is why the G League created a whole separate route and said, you know what, we're gonna make our own league, make our own section, and make it kind of like the NCAA, their version, but in the NBA. So
Yeah. Which also one other thing that I was thinking about
mhm.
was the advantage also for G League versus foreign leagues like the Spaniard or like the Chinese league is that a lot of these teams in the G League work together hand in hand with NBA teams. So they're kind of coupled or they're kind of handcuffed. So, these scouts or these coaches perhaps see these players,
Mhm.
Hand in hand. So, hey, Quinn Cook, he's having a phenomenal season so far. I would love to move him up to the bench for the Golden State Warriors, things like that. So I think there's a huge advantage with that. I like that, Jordan. Also another point, which I know this is soccer and I think too soccer international. A lot of these big clubs in Europe, they have academies and they start these academies in a young age, let's say 8-9 years old. So they bring them up. So imagine having the LA Lakers have an academy of young basketball players at the age of 9. They grow up in their system. They also get their education there as well. But then once they're 16 or 18, now they're able to jump into the Laker bench or they could sell it. But that's a whole different ballgame.
Is that why they call it in soccer? I would have been curious. Is that what they call them clubs? Is because there's different regions, there's different areas you have to work with the team?
Correct. There's
academically and athletically.
Yeah. There's under 17s, there's under 14s, under 13s. But that system here in America, it's going to be, it's just, we value a whole lot of education going through high school sports. Now, which brings up another point. Yes, the G League is biting away from the NCAA. So those are just my thoughts.
It really is. And in my opinion, Santiago, I think the NCAA basketball, it's always going to continue. It's kind of how things.
But it's interesting, Jordan. I was hearing, I think TBS or Charles Barkley or ESPN, they were saying like, okay, we haven't heard a big name like this March Madness. No one can name big names versus like 2 years ago with Zion. Everyone was, oh, Zion's the man. Zion's the man. But this year, we're just seeing a lot of. It's not the same. Am I going to say role players type of names? I don't know. I can't say that. I haven't done my research. Right. I have not heard any big names.
I mean, we can go on that a little later. The stacked, players in the March Madness. There's obviously NBA talent, heavy NBA talent that's going to come out, especially from Illinois. Possible first rounder, Ayo Dosunmu. And when I went to Illinois basketball camp, I went to it a couple years in a row. I met Ayo Dosunmu and I met a few of these guys within the program. So it's gonna be cool that I can possibly see them on a draft board.
But where do you see the G League in 10 years, by the way? Before we go on, do you see a G League saying, okay, 50% of the best players from high school going to G League, or you're not going to see that yet in 10 years?
Oh, you're going to see 50% of these basketball players going to G League because they've been itching. You look, if you really think about it, you put yourself in their shoes. They are working like an NBA player. They're in the gym before their school starts, and say their school starts at 7. They're in the gym at 5. They've been getting up shots for an hour and a half. Then they go to school. Then they have weight training as a class. Then they do weight training. Then they stay after school and they have a practice. Then they get after hours practice. They're doing NBA hour practices. So they're putting in that work in. They're going, you know what? I'm waiting for the day where I can get paid for this. They can't wait. So if the G League cuts it, allows that day to be an extra year, a year in advance versus them going, nobody really has gone overseas. The overseas route was kind of, established with, LaMelo Ball and RJ Hampton. But you're not going to see a lot of players going down to Australia, to a foreign country.
Yeah, that hasn't been like the clear path to jump over college.
Right. That is going to another foreign country and have to, relearn the ropes. But you see these guys, they work so hard since they were, 4 or 5 years old, Dome, the promised one. And then they have an opportunity to finally get paid instead of their peers going to college. They're like, well, I'm going to get paid $150,000 a year when I'm 18, 19 years old. And I'll be playing against guys who are in the NBA. And I'm going to be talking to NBA scouts and NBA recruiters almost every day. I'm going to have eyes on me every day. And I'm almost guaranteed a spot in the draft, whether it's first or second round. Because those guys in the G League Ignite, they have to get recruited. They have to get scouted. And those are NBA scouts that are going out there. So if you have opportunity to get in the Ignite, you're domed first or second round.
Negative with the G League so far is that the level of play. Like, yes, you play in the G League, but then you're not like college level still higher so far. But.
Yeah, it's definitely more fast paced. I will say that. It's definitely, at college you get a lot of these guys who are not going to play in the NBA, but you'll see them. They'll be like, these college prodigies. They really go out there, and you're going to see a lot of guys. The NCAA still that have a very successful college basketball. They're never going to struggle on that, but you are going to see a downfall is kind of their talent and their capacity. You're not going to see as much volume because you're going to, monkey see, monkey do. You're going to see a number one recruit in high school go to the G League. What are you going to do? You're not going to go to a university, spend 6 months and study and having to pick a major, having to pick a minor when you already know what you're going to do. You're going to follow in your peers' footsteps. You're going to follow in creators' footsteps like Jalen Green. He's one of the founding players in the G League that decided, all right, I'm going to go to the G League. He signed the G League really early on. He played high school at Prolific Prep. And the opportunity to go to Kentucky, Memphis, and Duke. He decided, no, I'm going to go to the G League. And obviously we've seen that route pay off, and he's going to be mock draft has him at the number 1 pick. So he gets drafted on the draft board like he's supposed to. You're going to see a downfall in talent in the NCAA, which, might make room for, maybe a couple, Curry moments where you'll see a guy go to a small Division I school and bloom, or he'll be super underrated, and, the John Morant, more recent. But you're going to see more players go to the G League Ignite team. And if that, it's going to be Ignite, NCAA, then overseas. But
that's quite interesting. Yeah,
it's very interesting. It's kind of a slept on topic too, because not many people would think about, what's the G League? Well, it's a club league basically to NBA teams.
Hosted by Gatorade.
It is hosted by Gatorade. It was before the development league, and then the Gatorade bought it and they called it the Gatorade League. But everybody just knows it as a development league, really.
Which I wonder how much. What percentage of them, pays like most of the salaries.
Yeah, that's a good point. But anyways, Santiago, what is your thoughts right now in Miami, since you are based out of Miami? How do you think the Heat are doing? Have you been?
Well, Jordan, to be honest, I have not been following hardcore, but I did listen this morning in the sports radio in Miami, and they've won majority of their games. Like the past 11 games, I believe they won 10 out of 11.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Heat are peaking, like they're peaking at the right time.
Well, the Heat right now sitting at number 4. They're clear playoff spot, guaranteed playoff right now.
Yeah,
at this point.
So they're showing what they need to do. And of course, I'm not advocating, okay, NBA teams should suck in the first, 2-3 months, but sometimes you want to conserve yourself. Of course, they just, finished the bubble. They only had 1 month off.
Yeah.
So of course they're banged up, and going to the finals, you're banged up. Imagine like the Lakers as well. So I think They're fourth. That moved up pretty quick. That's the thing with the NBA. Things are so fluid. Really
Especially,
fast.
I don't know what it is about this season, but the inconsistency, you can never guess. I would never place a bet on a game because I could very well, more likely chance that I would lose a bet because of how inconsistent these games have been. I mean, the Philadelphia could play Chicago, which is sitting at the bottom, or they could play New York. I use New York since they're a little higher than Chicago. And
Yeah.
New York
So
could come out with a win. It's just so inconsistent.
yeah, and the Knicks is another good team right there. But yeah, I mean, so far the Heat. Hey, Spoelstra, I trust them.
Do you think the Heat, you think the Heat should have won the finals, or do you think it was just kind of just because they're in the bubble that other teams didn't really perform their best?
That's a great question. I was talking to I was talking to someone about this. If this was like a regular playoffs, people, teams playing in their own stadiums, I don't think the Heat would have made it to the finals. The Lakers, yes, they would have made it.
Mm-hmm.
But the Heat, I don't think so. I think I think the other teams, Milwaukee choked. I know it's a big word, but they just didn't do well. Celtics, I thought they were going to go. But I guess Butler had a hot hand, man. I'm telling you, right time, right place.
That's really all it comes down to is right time and right place. What are your thoughts on Jimmy Butler, Santiago, out of Miami? You don't really have to be paying attention to the Miami Heat to be noticing. What's the energy like in Miami for the Heat?
Well, he's not the Dwayne Wade level, Jordan.
Yeah.
Like he's not like, I don't think we'll name a road after him as of yet.
Does
But
Dwayne Wade have a road in Miami?
he does actually.
What?
He has it right by the stadium. So
Wow.
he's definitely a legend. I guess you can say Alonzo Mourning is up there. Shaq, mixed feelings. Had one to two good seasons. But Butler, it's still early to tell. What, he's 30, 31 years old.
Mm-hmm.
If this guy could take him to a championship, he might go to a different level.
He took him to in my opinion.
Win the championship. Sorry,
win the championship because
yeah.
He turned on the Jets in the bubble. He turned on the Jets in the bubble,
but he's not Jordan though. He's
not Jordan. He's not Jordan.
Not Wade. I don't know. It's still like I said. Like,
you know what? Gary Payne. If you guys remember him, Gary Payne for the Seattle SuperSonics. He's like a Ron Harper.
A little bit better than Gary, I think. If I would have to say,
I don't know. I just kind of maybe playing style. Well, because Jimmy Butler's not small though. He's not small. I heard that he is actually kind of a big dude, and he's tall. He seems huge.
But what he did in Chicago, he did what he did in Minnesota.
Right
now, he's taken to a different level in Miami, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you with Tyler here on Duncan Robinson? But anyways, we're nearing the end of this show. Before I go, I want to get some pregame predictions in for tonight. Sacramento versus Hornets. Santiago, who do you have?
Sacramento Hornets. I like the Hornets. They got some momentum. I think this is Jordan's best year. He is a part owner of the Hornets. I'm probably going to go with the Hornets on this one.
I'm a lot of love for Sacramento, but I'm going to have to go the Hornets just because I just like their playing style. I like what they have going on. They seem very relaxed. They seem like they, are very consistent. They know what's happening. All right, Milwaukee versus the Washington Wizards.
Milwaukee is favorited. Washington has Russell Westbrook and Beal, right? So,
yep.
But Milwaukee has old Giannis.
Milwaukee's in at 24-14. The Wizards in at 14-23. So it's Milwaukee. I got the Bucks, and I'm gonna go this way. The Bucks are gonna win by 15 plus. I don't think the Wizards are gonna really hold them off.
I'm gonna say 8-10. Keep it conservative.
Okay, I'll give you that. Now we have the Spurs versus the Detroit Pistons. Spurs in that 19-16, Pistons in that 10-28. Seems like they kind of fell through when they traded their main man Derrick Rose.
And Spurs let go of Aldridge.
And Blake Griffin went to Brooklyn.
Exactly. So
So
San Antonio, Detroit. I'm gonna have San Antonio. It's gonna be a tight game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna pick the Spurs.
Yeah, I'm going Spurs too. We have the New York Knicks versus the Brooklyn Nets. This one's actually going to be a good game because the New York's sitting at 20 and 19. The Nets are sitting at 26 and 13. The Knicks are at 7. Brooklyn's at 2. There's only 5 spots in between, and that's not a lot because we have seen inconsistencies during this NBA season.
Should we
But
call it the Subway Series?
I was called the Subway Series because really, I mean, you take a subway from
From
Manhattan to Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, yeah. I'm gonna say Brooklyn.
Me too.
Obviously they got more firepower. They're playing at home. They have Blake, which he kind of looked a little bit out of shape, but I think they'll put it together.
Yeah, I think Blake, maybe that was a part of why Detroit decided, we'll get rid of him because maybe he's been a little out of shape. Maybe he's been a little out of the loop.
He needs to get out of the coffin. I think he'll be back. I think they'll motivate him. Now, I mean, hey, Jordan, he is in the pedestal to win the championship.
Oh, they're in the better position than the Los Angeles Lakers.
You
All right, then we got the Clippers versus Mavericks, 25 and 15. Mavericks 20 and 17. Santiago, who do you have?
I had Ryan earlier today on my show. He said Dallas. I'm going to say the Clippers. They're favored. Of course, it's in Dallas. Kawhi's Kawhi. I think he's Jordan-esque, Kobe-esque. That's debatable, but I think he's up there. He has that grit. I'm picking the Clippers by 2.
I'll go with you know what? I'm going with Mavericks. I'm going with Dallas.
Dallas is good.
I'm going to go with Dallas.
You think they'll make it to the playoffs?
No.
Really?
No.
West is tight, man. It's tight.
It's always seems like the West always has such a better league or division than the East. I don't know what it is.
It's been like that for 20 years.
But hopefully, the West,
I mean, things are starting to turn to the East a little bit. And now there's 2, 3, 4 solid teams, but not dominant as the West. West is still like, I'm surprised.
West has always had its swagger, I would put it. All right, the Pacers versus Nuggets. Pacers sitting at 17 and 20. Nuggets sitting at 22 and 16. Santiago, who do you have?
I'm going for Jokic. Denver. You can't, it's a hard to win in the mountains of Denver. I'm going to pick the Nuggets or the Nugs.
I'm going to go with the Nuggets too. All right, I'm gonna stick with that. The Nuggets.
Another team that could be a dark horse for the playoffs. I'm just saying.
The Memphis Grizzlies versus the Phoenix Suns. I'm not even gonna discuss their record. Well, I will. The 17 and 18 Suns, 25 and 12. But I'm not gonna. This is no debate of who's gonna win this game. I have Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns taking it.
I agree, Jordan. Phoenix Suns, automatic. I think they're doing really well. Love this guy Booker. He's doing some great things. He's like a Donovan Mitchell style, just very humble and getting it done.
And then we have a actually good game. Wow, there's been another set of a great game. The Lakers versus the Warriors. First, there was the Knicks versus the Nets. Now we have the Lakers versus the Warriors. Lakers sitting at 25 and 13. Warriors sitting at 20 and 19. Remember, the Lakers are in the 3rd spot. I can't remember what the Warriors are.
They're ninth.
Ninth.
They're right behind the Mavericks, and also the Spurs. And they're they're 1 game ahead of the Grizzlies. So Warriors have to, they got to beat the Lakers in order for them to go to the playoffs, Jordan.
So who do you have, Lakers or Warriors?
I'm going for Warriors, dude. I'm Steph Curry. I'm a believer of Steph Curry. I think he can do it. I think he wants this game, especially in San Francisco. You got to win at home.
Yeah.
Got to win at home. How about you? Who you got?
The Lakers are always kind of going for the underdogs. So I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors for this one.
The Lakers are only favored by 2, so it could be anyone's game.
It really can be anyone's game. But anyways, you can follow us on the Twitter at the Sportscast1 and visit on our website, thesportscast.net. Make sure to check out our show schedule throughout the week. This is Jordan Vargas, Hoops with Jordan. Hope you guys have a good one. Rock and roll.
Thanks, Jordan.